Thank you, Pablo, and thank you, Amanda, for coming to my podcast series, Digging Deep. And I wanted to invite you guys for a conversation which is based upon ESG. And this is the dorm we three live together in Münster. So, since I came from Constance, I was desperately looking for rooms as Münster is a living and breathing student city, and it's very hard to find rooms around here. And I was actually knocking door to door when I first came here. And Martina was such a beautiful woman, and she was so kind that when she heard my story, she immediately sent out mails to you guys, and you guys took me in. So that was my start with ESG from January, and now this is July, and I'm spending a wonderful time at ESG. But I wanted to know more. I wanted to know not just from my perspective, from Pablo your perspective, Amanda your perspective as well. Like, how did you guys choose to live in a dorm for say, not just ESG? Let's get into this dorm versus apartment topic first. Why did you guys choose to live in a dorm and not just some apartment? What made you make this decision that no, we are going to live here? So Pablo, what do you think?
I think in the first place it was a really economic thinking of, in general, to say between apartment and a dorm. An apartment here in Münster costs about 400 a month, 350 a month. A dorm is much less. So this was a big point. After ending my school, I went to Argentina for a year, and there I lived in a community with 20 people. So the thinking to live together with other people, to share your life and your life space, was nothing new to me. And I really liked the idea, so therefore I wanted to go on with this. I lived in Gescherweg in a dorm for 2 semesters.
Okay.
But this dorm showed up to be not really a dorm, but more everyone had his own apartment on one floor. So you had your own kitchen, your own bathroom, and a room about 12 square meters. And I was totally unhappy there, because it was like a small apartment and everyone had his own apartment, so you didn't really get to know anyone. Even when I knocked at some doors of my neighbors to say hello, I'm the new one, everyone was really irritated that there was someone introducing themselves, because it wasn't the normal thing there.
Yes. And do you remember the bathroom? It's like a space cabin.
Yes, exactly, like of an airplane or something.
Were you there too?
Yes.
Did you get there too? But you didn't.
Yeah, I
live
visit
there.
some friends there. I don't.
Okay.
I was like, okay.
I've been in a bathroom like that before, in a hotel room.
Okay. But that's like very temporary. So like, since when you're living here?
I'm living here since my 3rd semester.
So
for 4 years.
4 years.
No, wait. 3 years. I'm sorry.
3 years.
So since 2015. And the idea to come here came from my parents. My mother is from Argentina, my father is from Germany, and they learned to know each other in a dorm similar to this one in Munich.
Whoa, that's great.
So they told me, Pablo, there's a dorm of the ESG in the middle of Münster. It's economically intelligent to live there, and it's an Umfeld,
Environment.
an environment
Yes.
that can be really friendly and helping you a lot.
Mhm.
So from there the idea came to live here, and I don't regret a thing. because I really love it here.
True, like for me, I was living in Constance and I actually felt really alone sometimes because that was my first year, my very first 6 months in Germany, and the transition now I like took place. Like every time I go to the institute, I call this, yeah, I have to go to my dorm because somehow I feel like I have a big family here, although I don't see you guys that much because you know how studying for masters goes around.
Yeah.
And I also have this family at the ethnology department. So somehow when I think alone, I actually think that yes, I have met two families, after coming to Münster. So it feels very good inside. But Amanda, like, what's your story of coming here?
Yeah, so when I first got to Germany, that was almost 4 years ago, I think. I was initially living with a family who agreed to take me in, and I was very grateful for that. But I also felt kind of cut off from the other students. I was living in Detmold, and I wanted more connection with the student body. So I saw that there were several dorms in Detmold, but I don't know, something about the ESG caught my eye. And so I applied there and I got in, and yeah, I mean, it was a lot cheaper than the place I was living before, so it made sense financially, and it also connected me to other people who weren't necessarily studying the same thing as me, but who were also studying and were closer to my age, and I was very grateful for that.
Yeah, true. Like, I enjoy every moment out here. But, like, I wanted to know from you, Pablo, as because you're living here for a long time, what actually is ESG? Like, we know some bit, as international students, but we were not born and brought up here, or we didn't live here for a long time, So, what is the significance of ESG in Germany?
I think you have to differentiate between ESG and the dorm we're living in. The dorm we're living in has the big letters ESG in front of it, and a part of the people that form part of the ESG are part of the dorm too. But it's two different things, although we two share the preacher or the pastor.
Yes, the pastor.
ESGs is it community? Gemeinde?
Gemeinde, yes.
A religious community that's in almost every big student city. It's so you got in Nordrhein-Westfalen you've got an ESG Münster, an ESG Köln, for example.
ESG Detmold.
ESG Detmold too. So there's a lot of ESGs, and I think the idea of those ESGs is to connect students that are Christians, and in the ESG it's evangelical Christians, although it's not the same evangelical as the evangelicals in the US.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
It's Lutheran or Protestants, they call themselves. It's to explain the difference would cause a lot of time, so it's not so easy.
Okay.
And I think that it's there for when you study, like yourself said, it's really much time you need to focus on your studies, and you need to focus much time too on friendships, and in this focusing on other things, a religious part stays away or doesn't find as much time as some people would like to use time for their religious lives. And too much students start to question their religious beliefs. The ESG, I see it, is a possibility to reconnect with other people knowing or still not knowing their religious ways in a Christian way, to conversate about this, to live your your beliefs together. That's the ESGs in the big cities. And then our dorm is a special thing. It's the last dorm connected to an ESG in the whole Bundesland in NRW, Nordrhein-Westfalen.
Mm.
And it's has certain parts like the ESG, but here many more students are living from all kinds of religions. So it's similar but different.
True. Like I actually I was very fascinated by this policy that, like, you know, although it's an Evangelische Gemeinde, like I saw that it's almost 50% German and 50% I would say internationals or foreigners. So it's a very interesting mix. You know, like people are learning German from each other. People are, and the culture. People are, when, like, for me, I still am not so good at German, and I'm always, most often, I am shy to go to you guys just because I'm so shy in speaking German.
It's hard.
Yeah, that's horrible from my side, but I'm learning so nowadays. But my question is, like, every time I enter ESG or I attain something workshop, something conduct that is going on ESG, what is there that makes me feel like a family? What is there that makes me like, you know, yes, come in, you're welcome. What is this culture in ESG that makes you feel like such a big family? Amanda.
Oh, well, did you want to say something?
No, I'm thinking.
No, I'm sure you have felt that as well, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody is so friendly, everybody is so welcoming.
Everyone is very friendly. I don't know. I don't know if there's a specific way of defining it. And I still feel very new here, so to be perfectly honest, I'm still adjusting and I'm still learning to feel at home here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
I was very connected to the last place I was living
Mm-hmm.
in Detmold, and so I'm still kind of getting over not being there anymore.
Ah, okay.
In that place, I had the experience that you're describing of this. You come in and you just feel like a relief, like you've been holding your breath and you didn't know it. And I think there's something special that happens when people from different cultures are able to come together and like live in conflict and somehow still live in peace with each other. I think
Cool.
that creates a special bond between people, and it forces you to kind of strip down all your walls and all the ideas you had about other people and just kind of take people for what they are.
True. I think everybody in this dorm knows you because of your, you know, your practice.
Yeah, I know everyone on the Kurze knows me because I'm probably keeping them up at night. No, I don't practice at night, but I do sing in the basement below, and I appreciate your allowing me to do that.
Have you heard her practicing?
Yes, from our little bibliothèque.
Oh, the study
The
room?
study room. From there, the doors are open. I can hear it.
Oh, no.
And I feel at home because my mom makes the same thing. She's a singer too.
Yeah.
So she starts warming up with similar techniques, and then starts to sing different things.
You have no idea how scared
Oh, no.
I used to get at first. I
so
hate
sorry.
horror movies, and I'm like studying in the morning and like, whoa, where is this sound coming from?
Oh, no.
You know, but I got used to it. But Pablo, like, what would you say? Like, I'm sure it was the same for you as it is for me right now. What did you say, like, after these years of experience living here? I'm sure many people have left and many new have come in. So you've seen a lot. But you know something about this place that changes people. I don't know, like, maybe people are inherently good when they come here. Maybe that can be a factor. or maybe there's something about this place that makes people behave like that. What would you say from your experience?
I think it's the general spirit living in this house, not in a religious way, but in a personal way. The people living here have an impact on deciding who will the next people living here.
So that's a major thing, yeah.
So there's a self-reproductive circle,
Yep.
to say it, which has its faults, but is interesting in another way too. And I think that is one part. The other part has to do something too with the right we have to talk in here, or to say how the ways should go here. I think our voice is heard, and therefore there's a really it creates a really strong bond in between the people living here. And even though some people go, this bond stays, and new people coming in get to be part of this bond. Then other people go, and so this bond stays the same, although there's much fluctuation between the people and the dynamics in here too. For example, there was a time where every evening 10 to 15 people gathered downstairs in the bar. Not every evening, but every second evening. Nowadays, I don't have the feeling that it's just or that it's the same like this, but it isn't good nor bad. It's just like it is. It's another dynamic.
Yeah, it's another dynamics. So, like, what did you say? Like, for the 50% of the international students, so we come from different countries and we all have specific purposes. Like Amanda came here for her opera practice. I don't know how long it's going to, like, like how long, like, will all this course of yours, because it's totally something very new for me.
Oh, okay.
Like, you're going to be a professional opera singer, right?
Hopefully.
Oh,
That's the
of course,
goal.
like the way you scream every day, like
No,
it should be.
well, if
You
I'm
must
screaming,
be.
if I'm screaming, I don't know what my chances are.
So, like, my question is, like, we're here for a very temporary time, maybe not so many years, because most of the German students I've seen here, they're doing their bachelors. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them. And most of the internationals we are here, we are mostly doing our masters. A few exceptions are doing their bachelors in German. So, like, my question is, in international students' term, what are the things that you see us giving back to ESG, for the privilege that we get to live here, or share our lives with you guys, or you guys share our lives with each other? What can be some give back and receiving that we can do? Amanda, I would love some of your thoughts here.
So what do internationals
Yes.
bring, or how do we benefit?
Bring in, or we can give back to ESG, or it's a reciprocation,
Yeah, I think anytime you're dealing with people who are different than the majority, you're inviting room for conflict. You're also inviting room for growth and change. I think it keeps things alive. It keeps things from getting stagnant, because people are always coming in from different places, and you don't know the culture necessarily, so it's always keeping things bubbling.
Very dynamic.
Yeah,
Diversity goes a long way, actually. Like, wherever I've seen, like, every places which were diversified with people from different nations or different culture, the growth was something very different. So, like, I really wish, like, ESG or this dorm keeps this fund going on for the privilege we get, because 150 euros or like 200 euros for a month in Münster, it's like, almost living for free. like, do you have something to say about this, cultural amalgamation?
I think the privilege of this dorm is more than only a cheap place.
Yeah, of course, yes.
And more than a cheap living. I think the thing that the international and national students can give this dorm is exactly what this privilege is.
True.
So I would have never in my life expected to talk to people from Benin, to people from Mexico, to people from Russia. This simply isn't in the, at least at my career, which would be law, there aren't so much people from other countries. And this working together is something all the Germans can take a huge privilege of, and all the not German or international students can take a huge privilege of. So it's not something specific for the international students, but I think for every student.
That's true.
I think it makes us more human, like in the end we are all the same, just from different boundaries of the world, so sometimes when I think about it, like, it makes us more human, more liberal, more human, more open human being, I guess. And by the way, I'm the first Bangladeshi to live in ESG.
The first Bangladeshi ever?
Yes,
Wow.
the first, but like, talk about diversity in 2018. Like, I was really surprised that I'm the first Bangladeshi living here.
How was the situation in ESG Detmold? Was it any different, or were there?
It was more international. There were fewer German students there, so yeah, it was very heavy on the international side. And I see in Münster that it's very even, and I think that's good for both, because it helps the international students sort of integrate better into German culture, which can be a lot to deal with when you're new here. And for the German students, and for everyone, it's just good to meet people who are different than you and to make friends from around the world.
I think it's a perfect breeding place because, in the end, we are here to see German culture, because we are in Germany. Yeah. So, like, whenever I'm stuck speaking some wrong German and I just switch back to English, and learn the word and come back to German again and try better, like, I think I have learned more German in these 6 months than I did back in Constance, a whole 1 year. So, like, it's I would say, a very compound growth. And it starts from the house, with this 50% German, 50% international. It's a very nice combination.
Yeah, I agree. And in the place in Detmold, it was very international there. So we didn't have the same amount of feedback from Germans, which might have been helpful. But when I was still learning German back then, and I felt comfortable speaking and trying things out with other people who were also learning German, so we kind of fed off each other and spoke sort of like a caveman version of German, but it felt very safe when I was just beginning, and then I was able to go out from the house and then try it with native speakers and at school, and it helped to build my confidence initially.
Yeah, true. Thank you guys for coming here to talk about ESG, because this is something I wanted to do from the very beginning. I started to observe this dorm, and finally I could sit with you guys, and thank you, Amanda, for being here. I really wanted to know more about ESG, and I think in a different day I will ask you more about the religious background, the whole religious background that you just mentioned, would take an hour to explain, but I really want to have a full broad sense of understanding from the place where I'm getting so many privileges from. But today I'm going to finish it here because I think it's almost 25 minutes. My last podcast, I was so engrossed in talking that it was almost 40 minutes.
Oh.
So not today. So it's almost 25 and I'm like 26. I'm going to finish it here. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
It's a hot summer day, but yeah.